Hello, and welcome back to Ingrid is Interested. I already tried recording this video the other day. I actually had makeup on, but I didn't like the video. It was really disorganized, and I hadn't taken notes, so I took some notes earlier. This is video number 2 for my summer curriculum, whatever series. For the most part, I will be focusing on, the academic part of this, my whole plan involving my summer curriculum. Also, I hope to God the audio is okay. I don't usually wear this on me, so I'm just going to apologize ahead of time if that is wonky. I would venture to say that I am very happy with how my little summer program is going so far. I didn't really have anybody scheduled last week for work, my students. So I ended up taking off most of the week. I did end up, it was Monday and or Tuesday, again, of last week. I did still end up doing some German. I want to say a little over halfway through that chapter, which I'll be planning to finish this week. On Tuesday, yesterday, I did actually do a study with me live stream. I was mostly working on some German flashcards. These are all of the words that I knew from the lists for the first 4 or 5 chapters that I knew I would probably want to review, either because they're useful and I knew I didn't know it right off the bat. I recognized it, but to try and come up with a German word myself, I might not have. Anyway, so yeah, there's that, and then also nouns that I know I'm iffy on the grammatical gender. So I have these to work on now, shore up my vocab a little bit, because I am definitely kind of rusty with Deutsch, the German word for German as a language. So yeah, I am actually pretty happy with how my live stream went. As far as my end, I didn't, my lovely wife did tune in for a little bit from the living room while I was in here studying. That was very sweet of her. I appreciated that. I don't know if the other views were just from me initially popping in, just from my phone, just to make sure that my audio was working, because I wasn't sure about that. So I don't know, last time I saw there was only 4 views on it, but it's a start, not the views, just the video itself, and getting back on track with my YouTube channel and being able to stay on track with my studying. I'm real happy. I am lagging on Greek and Latin, but again, those were my 4 fun languages. So as long as I continue to focus strongly on German and algebra, which are the important ones, right? I'm feeling pretty good about that. So for today, I was supposed to have a student at 5. I actually picked up some new ones. That's one of the things I wanted to mention here. Sorry, and now that I'm saying this, I do need to see if somebody's messaged me back. But yeah, I picked up, it looks like 3 new students altogether. They're just adults wanting to learn Spanish, which I would say is pretty par for the course for summer. You do get high school students and occasionally middle school students who want to, or their parents want them to do something or be doing something over the summer, either to keep up with the language, if it's Spanish, or just do kind of a, a month or 2 with me for study skills, things like that, to get them ready for the next year, whatever it is. But yeah, I do think that for the most part, it seems to be adults a lot of the time that I see postings for over the summer, which is fine with me. I honestly enjoy that things are, even if I'm teaching everyone Spanish, all of my students, even if they're all Spanish students, it's still a very different experience working from one person to the next, and that's one thing I really enjoy about my job. So yeah, it was nice to have more or less a week off last week. The past year and a half or so, I haven't been very good about scheduling and therefore taking time off for myself. I'm not a person who does or really even wants to work a ton, which I realize sounds kind of lazy, but my point is I get very miserable very quickly with most employment options. So this is perfect for me, tutoring. And I'm not really, well, I'm not at all banking on ever getting, you know, enough of a following here to earn money that way. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think this kind of job, like one that depends on what am I trying to say? Like a following, yeah. Something that depends on a following and not just your typical, you know, employment, sorry, there's an gnat in here, employment parameters. It's a little trickier, right? Because I am a contract worker as a tutor. I either work independently on the rare occasions I can find students that way, or I mainly work through an agency. I'm obviously not going to say which one. I don't, you know, I'm not on here to say anything one way or the other about it. I've been with them for almost 4 years, so it's fine. I'm happy continuing to find students this way. Anyway, so yeah, I do have a couple new students starting. I got to meet with one yesterday. It was a very nice, like, initial appointment. It was really nice to get to know that person. And yeah, like I said, I was supposed to have, like, it's sometimes when people get onboarded, it's just kind of like, they might not get the email, like it might go to their spam folder, or, you know, I know everybody's different with their email. Some people, like myself, like I do check my email pretty often. I work online, so obviously, but a lot of people just don't need to unless they're specifically expecting something, right? So sometimes they have like their first session scheduled and they don't even realize that they've been matched with me yet. So I do like to try and get in touch with folks before that first session comes up, so they don't end up with, you know, no-show fees or anything like that. But anyway, okay, I've rambled enough about work. So, okay, I've done study with me video. I mean, I mentioned it. I mean, you can find them in live streams because I will leave them up. Just, I don't like, I put a ambiance video in the background, and I will be trying when I do that to remember to link them in the description. And the channel that I got the video from, that kind of stuff. It's not like a big deal, but I mean, if they're playing in the background with me, I do want people to be able to track down the creator, right? But yeah, so they will, like I said, the study or read with me lives will be either under live on my channel, or I am also, I have a playlist started, just live study with me's, I think. Yeah, where you can find those. I am thinking about doing one today. It's just since my schedule is now different than what I expected, which is a whole hour. That has changed in my day. That's all it takes to throw me off, let me tell you. But like right now, I'm reading a couple different books. That's usually what I'm doing when it comes to reading and when I am actively reading. But one of them, I've tried to read this book a few times, and it's no fault of the book or even me. I haven't finished it. But it's called Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. It's not a diet book really in the traditional sense. It's more about like, I would say the author is certainly speaking in defense of more ketogenic type diets. Like, he's not saying you should follow Atkins or you should do this. Like, his main blurb at the beginning of the book is like, look, if you just want to know what I would recommend based on my research, avoid sugar, avoid refined carbs, don't drink your carbs and or calories. Just pretty basic stuff, which is generally how I eat. It's just, I've needed to recently, and this whole conversation is leading into another thing I was wanting to talk about, which is like my weight situation. I think I brought it up in the first video. I have struggled with my weight for most of my life, but the one thing I can say, especially leading up to my most recent behavioral changes regarding what I eat, how much, how often, it has felt easy, like getting my behavior under control. I think because I had good timing. Like, I do have PMDD, which essentially means, like, for me, 2 weeks of every month is inundated with hormones that my body isn't really interested in having at the party, I guess. So It's not like it's really bad PMS or anything. Like when you have PMDD, as far as I understand, like your hormone levels are not like insane. They're not even, I don't believe, a little bit like consistently higher. I think they're basically the same. It's just not like an allergic reaction, but it's basically like your body reacts poorly to the rise in hormones that comes every month. So fortunately, I am medicated to kind of help with it, but around that time, especially for about a 10-day period, I do have a really rough time with cravings and just my behavior in general, honestly. And I don't mean that I become like a jerk or whatever, but it gets very hard to like stay on track with a lot of things. So that's another thing I've been trying to work around is like, you know, understanding like what my issues are so I can work around them and still live a full productive life, right? So all that to say, I am rereading this book because, or rereading to ultimately finish this book. His main thing is it's a research, like long ass essay thing essentially, and he did write this particular book because he has others on the subject, but he wrote this one to be a little bit more digestible by, you know, the public at large, because his other ones, as he says, are pretty dense and technical. But the thing is, so the book, like I said, it more or less just discourages eating highly processed foods, sugars, refined carbs, that kind of thing, right? Which I think is usually, regardless of what diet you're trying to go on, if it's a healthy one, those should generally be some of the parameters, right? But at any rate, like most of his book is about research and different, studies and experiments and things like that into like why certain people, and I don't just mean people with like thyroid issues, like not something super rare. It's just some people like really have a bad time metabolizing sugars and things like that, and you know, the body like craves it, and those foods are meant to be addicting, and low nutrition for some reason. It's just a whole clusterfuck, and I think what it comes down to a lot is hormones, is what he mentioned. Like the biggest issues that people who have like ongoing long-term weight struggles, it usually is something to do with insulin one way or another, is kind of the point there. And so he's just got like a lot of research and studies that he cites throughout. And I think it's good to know that stuff because, I don't know, it's like when a doctor prescribes me a medication, I still read up on it. I want to know, you know, how do people like it? You know, what kind of side effects, you know, might I be worried about, that kind of stuff. I just like to know what I'm getting into, and knowledge is power to a point, so there we are. But yeah, so all that to be said, I think I mentioned this in my first video, but I might also be thinking back to the one that I recorded just the other day or yesterday or something. When I decided to start my whole little curriculum program here, it was very tempting to try and slot exercise and diet and whatever else I need to fix in my life in with it. But I think that's something that I have done many times, and it doesn't work because I overwhelm myself. I'm trying too hard to keep track of too many like different new behaviors, and it kind of starts to collapse in on itself, and I think in the end I end up feeling more discouraged because I am making too little progress on everything rather than focusing on this and getting used to making sure I study on a regular basis. And in the background, what's been happening is, because I am or have been planning to get back to like counting calories, because I just have not been paying that much attention to how much I'm eating, how often I eat. I've got this bad habit of, you know, even if it's just a little snack, just grabbing something on my way past the kitchen just because I'm in the kitchen, right? Just little irritating habits like that just build up. So between that and this fiasco I had with espresso, right? I don't need to get into it, but I have gained a little bit of weight. I guess over the past year or so, I got down to very close, down to 200. And I think I was at like 203, 204. And the winter months came, and then I got the espresso pot. The story there is just essentially I did not realize the wild amount of cream I was using. I've sorted that out. I water it down now, and I use like a mix of half and half and a little bit heavier cream. So that's helped. But yeah, it's still, you know, I've still had all these other little bad habits here and there. And so the plan had been just to, you know, just start buying better choices from the grocery store. Because even when I was like not eating like great recently, it was more just because like most of what I was eating was like keto protein bars, you know, like the protein chips and stuff, because those things do tend to have fewer carbs, more fiber, which is good for you, but that's still processed food. Like, don't get me wrong, given the choice between regular Doritos and those protein ones, I'll take the protein ones. Like, there's so much fewer carbs in it. And again, they have added protein and they have added some fiber to those. So it's a lesser evil, but it's not something that should be a part of my regular day-to-day food source, right? That's like weekends, you know, have some chips on the weekend. But that was just the kind of stuff that I was eating too much of, and it wasn't, you know, doing me a lot of favors. So I've just been changing what I order for groceries for the most part. So I don't have those things on hand. I mean, yes, I can run to the store, but I'm pretty much, you know, I'm not a full hermit or recluse. I don't mind going out, but if I don't have to for like an appointment or something, like I don't really want to. So yeah, it's pretty rare I have cravings bad enough that I will like leave the house to go get fast food or something. I do not care that much. Anyway, so I did just kind of like get back into my calorie/carb counting app. I am paying less attention to the macros. Like, they're still there and I am still looking at them. It used to be I would just count my carbs and just make sure I didn't go over on those. But with my age and like my activity levels and stuff like that, I do think I need to be paying more attention to the calories now while trying to keep a reasonable balance in my macros. And so I just kind of naturally started tracking stuff again. And it's annoying, it's kind of a time sink, but it's been worth it. I've lost 4 pounds already. When I was first like tracking my weight again to like get back into losing it, I'm not gonna go over my whole weight loss history, but about 2 years ago, I got up to 256-ish, and then I started just losing weight after we moved, just because I had to use the stairs a ton when we moved to the new place. Then after that, we moved here, fewer stairs, and, you know, I'm still not closely watching my diet at this point, so yeah, I gained some weight again, but I didn't get back up way high. Like, I had 256 as my all-time highest weight. I've never been heavier than that. Like I said, over that year, so not this year, but last year, I went back up to about 233-ish. Like, that's where I started for this. That's where I was sitting when I started tracking again the other day, was 233. And I weighed myself this morning, I was 229. So I'm excited about that. I'm very happy about that. My calories have been good, and above all, like, I honestly feel really good about the foods I've been eating as opposed to what I was eating before. So that's all really nice. It's just, I didn't mean to, you know, I was gonna wait a little bit longer after getting into, you know, my studies and stuff, but it just kind of came together. Again, like I said, I do have many years trying, and I wouldn't say failing, because I've lost weight. It just, you know, you gain it back again. Things change, things like, again, the stairs, I did not realize what kind of difference that could possibly make. Of course, I think it has more to do with, you know, I don't think I realized how sedentary I was otherwise, right? And that's another thing that, you know, I've been keeping in mind. I still need to get back into the bike, but I think with what's going on now between, like, once again, trying to keep up with these videos and doing my curriculum stuff, I've gotten back into reading. I do have a knitting project I'm working on. It's just a cardigan, but it's like kind of one of those oversized, I don't know, longer ones. It's black. I'm excited about it. It's just gonna take a while because it's kind of big, but I don't know. It feels like a lot of things are coming together really nicely. Cause yeah, I've like I've had some other things just kind of coming together over the past few months. Let's see. What was it? Yeah, I've gotten to the doctor for various checkups. My hair is growing in. I don't know how obvious that would be to other people. I do know I was looking at one of my older videos, not one I published, but it was from before, like not that long ago, honestly. It's probably this year. And like it was getting close to time to dye my hair, so my roots had come in, and my roots are largely like light brown and gray. So that general look wasn't helping anything, but the difference between what I looked like in that video and having dyed my hair within the past week now, I think quite a bit has come back. This is such a tangent, but well, not really. I mean, I did want to obviously discuss my health. All that kind of stuff. Because it was a few months back, I went to see my doctor about getting some medication to grow my hair back, because yeah, I was pretty bummed about losing so much of it. It is mainly just around the roots. It's kind of funny, like I think I notice it more like when it's wet, maybe when I'm washing it, but yeah, when I run my fingers through my hair, it feels reasonably thick at the roots, and then once I get, to the length, it starts to feel much thinner. So, I don't know, I'll give it another year or so. Probably be looking a lot fuller, hopefully. Either way, even if this was as good as it was ever gonna get, it's still better than it was, and I'm grateful for that, believe me. So there's that. I have had my teeth all scraped both sides finally. Yeah. This tooth might be a problem at some point, but since the cleaning, there's been less mobility in it, which is good, as far as I know. I have another appointment in August to get a checkup on my mouth again. So that all feels really good. The rest of this should be focused mainly on our study plans, my study plans. Our study plans, if you're following along with me. The one thing I do want to talk about that's more like oblique to that, because I did mention I wanted to work on some art, right? Namely photography, but my wife, who is an actual artist, she's been out of creativity for some years, but the new opportunities that she's had lately, just in life, period, just where our lives are going together, and I know she wants to work from home as well. She does not want to go back to retail. I don't want her to go back to retail. I don't want anyone to have to work retail. It's the worst. Actually, the only people who should have to work retail are the ones who are shitty to servers and retail workers. Those are the people who should have to work it. Anyway, okay, I completely sidetracked. All right. Anyway, I have all my life wanted to draw better. It's just I never practiced, right? For a long time, I think I did believe it was a lack of innate talent, but it was a lack of desire to spend the time drawing bad things, bad things. But at any rate, so since my wife is wanting to get back into drawing and hoping to do some kinds of commissions online at some point, just to have something while she's, maybe working through school or something like that. So she's been watching videos on drawing, especially the human figure in general, but either way, like all of them have good tips for how to kind of sort out shapes, proportions, how to get through that. So it's gotten me wanting to draw a little bit more too. The first thing that I finished recently is Henrietta from South Park, the little pudgy goth girl. I love her so much. I want a tattoo of her, and I might be getting that this summer along with my Magician's Hedge Witch star tattoos. I'm probably going to do both of those this summer, but anyway. I did draw Henrietta. This isn't the finished one. This was my first attempt. And even that, for me, was not half bad, but I did a second one to try and sort out her proportions. I used a different reference image for that one. I don't have it in here. It's pinned up in my kitchen. so I can look at my masterpiece. It's not perfect, but it is decent. You can definitely, like, if you know who Henrietta is, there's no doubt who it is when you're looking at her. My drawing, I might take a picture of it and put it up on the screen so you can see, but I did want to show you. So I do love Pokemon too. Pokemon, right? Another one of my many, many interests. And I think it's safe to say Bulbasaur is my favorite, like my all-time favorite Pokemon. I like the grass ones a lot. But I just saw it yesterday. I was like, oh, heck it, let's draw Bulbasaur. And I actually did pretty good. Like, he ain't perfect. But I am very proud of myself. I think that came out real nice. I will probably go over him with ink. I'm not sure if I'm going to color him in like I did with Henrietta. But yeah, I had never really tried much in the past to draw like cartoons, because that wasn't necessarily in the past what I was interested in drawing. But I mean, I like cartoons, I love animation, and I was just like, why wouldn't I try to draw a cartoon? So that's been fun, honestly, and I do consider like that and the photography to be like my art study or whatever for the summer, just as long as I'm still working on something a little bit artistic, a little bit creative, that isn't just my writing or the other stuff that I typically do. That, I mean, yeah, it's, you know, creative writing, knitting is certainly a creative endeavor, writing, obviously, but visually, I guess, creative is what I'm after here. But yeah, so there's my progress with drawing. I think I don't know if I started to mention this earlier or not. I'm such a mess and I'm sorry. But I was thinking about today or tomorrow doing a read/study with me live. If I do it tonight, it'll probably end up being in the living room, and that will probably be taking place while my wife is working out in a different room. But yeah, and so yeah, back to that book. Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. My fun book that I'm reading is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I would say that fantasy, medieval fantasy, is probably my favorite genre. It's the one that I do tend to gravitate toward most and enjoy the most, but I read a lot of different stuff. Like before this, I mean, I think I had started reading this, but either way, I recently finished House of Leaves. I do believe that I spoke about that in my trashed video from the other day. It was fine. I liked it. I think a lot of its fandom is interesting. I mean, I'm a fan of South Park, I'm a fan of Rick and Morty, and a bunch of stuff that can have problematic fandoms. Like there's always, I mean, honestly, most fandoms, there's at least one section that is sometimes very vocal and really obnoxious. But all that to say, it was an interesting read. I was frustrated with one of the narrators because it's weird how the book's set up. I think that's the basic thing that most people know about House of Leaves. It's weird. But it wasn't confusing. I guess some parts kind of were, but like the story itself regarding the house and this whole thing about the Navidson record and the house and all that, it was good. I enjoyed it. Like, I need to read it again just to, I don't know, I like to reread books in any case, but especially something like this where it does have, like, I don't know, there are a lot of Easter eggs in it. I know that for a fact. I did not personally like find them myself on the way through, but whatever. It was a fine book. Just don't let like whatever hype or hate either way color your view of it going in. Just read the book. It's fine. I didn't skip like large sections, but occasionally the one narrator that I'm speaking about, I don't think this is spoilers. So, well, his name isn't. So his name is Johnny, and he like found this book, the Navidson record that some guy had been working on, and Johnny's a little bit of a goofball, I'll put it that way. But sometimes in his footnotes, he started treating it like a journal, but he'd like spin out into this weird abstract stream of consciousness crap every once in a while for pages. And I would still read most of it, but occasionally I get to a point where I'd be like, I'm skipping these paragraphs, like the next 2 or 3. I'm not reading more of this because I don't care enough. And I don't think that I lost out on anything in the book doing that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with reading all of it closely. Either way, it was an interesting read. I didn't mean to sit here and give a full review of that book, but it's fine. I just, it's fine. It was good. Before that, I finished Pilgrim, a medieval horror. I really loved that. I think I liked it a little bit more than House of Leaves. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. That was a good one. And then prior to that, I believe I had finished the Broken Earth trilogy by, I think it's N.K. Jemisin. She is a fantastic writer. Like that trilogy actually got me back into reading more consistently. So it's, I would say, post-apocalyptic fantasy sci-fi, I guess, which sounds messy. It's not as messy as it sounds. It's, I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm not here to do like a reading review, but reading in general to me is part of academia, so it's worth talking about just as a habit, as an activity, as a hobby. But yeah, those books, absolutely amazing. I loved the Broken Earth trilogy. The first one is the 5th season. So I very, very strongly recommend those books to essentially anyone. Like they're just super good. So yeah, and at any rate, if I do a read/study with me live, probably what I will be reading/annotating will be the Why We Get Fat book. That's by Gary Taubes, by the way, if you're interested. Also, if you're at all interested in my e-reader, I have a Kobo Libra, which I am very attached to. I haven't owned a Kindle in probably well over a decade, not remotely exaggerating. So I can't compare this to a Kindle. I can compare it to using the Kindle app on my phone or tablet. But this is the first e-reader I've had, period, in quite a while, and I absolutely love it. I love this thing. I did get the one where you can get the stylus, and it does have the color e-ink, which has been lovely. I love this thing. Great investment, honestly. I was pretty, for a while, pretty reluctant to invest in an e-reader, but I'm really glad that I did. I like that it has the option where I can just turn off the backlight altogether if I have enough light to read by. Like that alone is really nice. It's much easier on the eyeballs, right? So yeah, and that was, again, another reason I wanted to read through this book and finally finish it, Why We Get Fat, because it's one of those that's really good for like noting down, again, because it's an argument for a, possible reason why a fair few people might have issues with their weight, right? And I have found like the things that he talks about, they do match my personal experience. Like when I, am focusing enough and really on track with how I'm eating, like that is how I'm eating when I successfully lose weight without being miserable the whole time. So yeah. So yeah, last thing I want to talk about, and honestly I think this is the most important, has to do again with, in large part, motivation, like keeping yourself going with a commitment like this, especially one of those that you just kind of like make to yourself, because it's one thing, the commitments I have to meet my students, right? Like they have already paid the agency for their monthly hours. They've paid for my time, for, my expertise, what have you. And it's like the least I can do is show up for an hour, right? And give them what they paid for. So that kind of commitment to me is whatever, but I think that a lot of us are more okay with kind of letting ourselves down by just stopping, I guess is one way to put it. Stopping because you keep putting it off, or you keep not doing as much as you wanted, yada, yada, yada. And I really think that the best mindset And this is the hard part. You have to keep pulling that mindset to you. Like this is honestly a little bit what depression can be like, because once the chemical imbalance starts, that emotional thing, your thoughts as a depressed person, or at least my thoughts as a depressed person, a person with major depressive disorder, it's very easy for my own thoughts to just make it so much worse and just wallow in all of it. And at the end of the day, as I said before, I think about it kind of like what I was talking about with drawing. If I continued to doodle and, at the very least, and try to make some kind of progress with my drawing, even if it had been just a little bit, just a couple times a week, just a few minutes, I would be a lot further along than I am now, and my time would not have been wasted. And that's something that I have to keep telling myself when, say, I spent all the time that I did putting those flashcards together because I was having a little bit of a hard time focusing. I had been fiddling around with, my tech to try and get, which to be fair is not very complicated. I'm not used to all the filming stuff at this point. But still, I got to fiddle around with it, make sure things are working. I've put some mental energy into that, and now I'm working on my flashcards and trying to stay focused on that. But being live helped me, I want to say, kind of stay on track yesterday. So that's part of why I considered it especially successful and for me, and just what I'm trying to do here. I don't know if my videos are worth anything to anyone. Honestly, I don't. I know what it's like to make these and put them up. I know what it's like to watch the end product from other people, from other creators. But I don't know how to compare what I'm trying to do with what everyone else does, Given some of the crap I've seen online, though, and the amount of following that most stuff has, I don't think that I am amongst the worst stuff. My battery's doing something weird. I'm getting a notification about it, so I think my camera might be about to overheat. So I'm gonna figure out what's going on, because I think I need to film an outro and I need to finish talking about what I'm talking about because it is important. So give me a second here. Let's try this one more time. I switched out the battery for the cheap replacements that I have. They don't work as well, so I mainly, use the one that it came with. Anyway, this is what I recommend. All right, if you are struggling with consistency, use the 2-minute rule. What's the 2-minute rule? The 2-minute rule, or you can do 5 minutes, 3, 4, whatever. The point of it is get your book open your notebook, computer, whatever you're doing, and commit yourself to exactly 2 minutes. And if you want to stop after 2 minutes, stop. I'm dead serious. When I was doing better with getting on my bike daily, that was a rule that I had in place for myself. On any given day, if I did not feel like doing more than sitting on that thing for 2 minutes, I let myself heck off, right? And the thing is, though, the fact of the matter is, more often than not, you're gonna end up hanging out for a little bit longer than that. It helps break through the getting started friction, right? You need to break through that. And then once you actually start working, it's not that big a deal, right? You've sorted it out, you've got everything put together. It's also part of another sort of tactic that can work the same way, especially with something like studying. So this is more about, again, reducing friction, but you can get your desk or study area set up and ready, get your book open, make sure you know what you will be working on, and then walk away for a while so that when your scheduled study time, all of your stuff's already ready for you. You can just sit down, and again, even if all you want to do is 2 minutes, then just do 2 minutes and get on with your life. You will still have done something and started working toward building a good habit with just those 2 minutes. And do not let the simplicity of that rule trick you, or even the fact that you can leave after 2 minutes, basically whenever. The fact of the matter is, if it is something that you are working on that you really want to work on, right? Losing weight, learning something new, whatever, more often than not, you're going to end up keeping on past the 2 minute mark. And even then you're still doing it, okay? You're still like making it a habit. That's my best advice. And that is something that I too am trying to follow right now, so that I'm not falling in the trap of like, I'll just do it tomorrow. Instead, the idea should be, let me just do a few minutes and see how I feel. And if I still feel like no, whatever. I will also point out though that if you're finding that no, that's why I wasn't charging. If you're finding that you're always leaving after 2 minutes, if you're constantly not making progress, and it might be fair to look at how you're going about things, or to reconsider what you're trying to learn. Maybe there's something oblique to that subject, something similar, but like a different section of the subject, something like linguistics, for example. A lot of linguistics can be made up of phonetics, which is not my favorite part of linguistics, but it is important, I mean, to be fair. But my point is, you know, maybe you think you want to learn Italian, let's say, and you start getting into it and you're just not enjoying it. You may be going about it the wrong way. You may need to consider other like learning pathways, that kind of thing. Don't be afraid to change things up, and don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy in either direction. There are certain things you may just find, okay, well, it's not for me. But that's another thing, like mindset wise, that you need to keep in mind is it's more just to see, for me right now especially, just an experiment to see what kind of structures and, you know, daily routines work for me that can incorporate the things that are important to me, which studying is a big one of them. So that and time management, you know, just trying to use my time well, especially when I have the energy to. But that's it. That's all, folks. I covered what I wanted to cover today. I got through my little battery fiasco. I'm sure it's going to be fun to watch when I get those clipped together. The lunacy. But yeah, I'm gonna get this put on the computer. I do need to get it edited, so that's something I'll be working on over the next couple days as well. It's Wednesday right now. I'd like to have this up maybe Friday or Saturday, or at the very least, I guess, by the beginning of next week. I think that'll put me in about 2 weeks for these videos. It just takes me so long to edit. I never really know what I'm doing. I'm trying to get rid of, you know, long periods of dead air, stuff like that. I don't know. I want to make the videos nice, but yeah, whatever. It's a learning process, and that's part of what I'm doing too. But yeah, like I said, that is all, folks. I hope that you are having a lovely summer so far. I really am, personally. And I hope that you'll hang out with me again next time. I appreciate you staying for as long as you have, if you have made it this far. But yeah, happy studying, happy whatever day it is. Thanks for coming. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Also, if you know of any good ambiance channels that do not use AI, drop that below for me. I was horrified to find that quite a few of the ones I've been looking at more recently are AI. Yeah, it's everywhere. I can't get away from it. But yeah, that's it. I'm Ingrid. Ingrid is interested. Ingrid has been interested. Goodbye. Gracias. Adios. Auf Wiedersehen.